When we begin that process of self-transformation, striving to open up the consciousness, and we begin to experience a more open consciousness, what happens to the way that we experience the world around us? When we open our eyes to the world, what happens? Are we going to be the same? When we open up those spiritual centers within us, and our energies are more expansive, we feel more of the energies inside, and we feel more conscious. What happens in that experience when we open our eyes to the world and we begin to experience another? It is no longer the same as when the consciousness was limited in closed chakras. When chakras open, the way we experience the world is different. When our spirituality opens up, the way we experience the world is different. When your brow chakra opens up, how do you experience the space? When the heart chakra opens up, how do you experience the space? When the navel chakra opens up, how do you experience the space differently? Your awareness, when it's limited to body consciousness and to individuality in body consciousness, it's local awareness. I'm just limited to the body and its senses. But when we come to soul awareness, we come into what we may call non-local awareness. It's a different kind of awareness. It's an awareness that allows us to experience the other differently. We begin to experience the other in us. We have a more intimate experience of the other. When a heart chakra is opened up, really opened up, where do you think that you experience the emotion of the other? Whether it's a very elevating emotion or a very contracted emotion. Where do you think you experience that? When you are with someone and your heart chakra is opened up, how do you think you are experiencing the other? The other's emotion becomes very powerful in your own experience. You begin to feel the other's emotion inside of you. The pain of the other is felt inside of you. The love from the other is felt inside of you. You are having the experience inside of your being. That's how we experience another in open consciousness. We experience them as part of ourselves. Perhaps we do not notice this, and we try to limit our awareness to the local awareness of body consciousness without having a real deeper look at what we're experiencing. And sometimes when we become so sensitive because our energies field is open up and our consciousness is open up, we become scared when we feel such energies within our space. But when we really understand the science of what is happening, we'll begin to appreciate operating in a new consciousness where we can feel the other within ourselves. How do you think that the master experiences you? As someone outside? With an open consciousness and heightened awareness of energy. How do you think the master experiences you? Inside of his own being, you are an experience in his own being or her own being. And how do you think they gave you Shaktipat? From the inside. When they are looking at you, when the master is looking at you with the eyes, the master is feeling you on the inside, and the master is able to hold your heart from the inside and give it a shake-up, or the mind, or the gut. The master is able to penetrate your field, even whilst looking at you locally, In non-local awareness, the master gets into your field and begins to create the change there when you're open and receptive. So the whole process is happening on the inside, in the consciousness space. So there is an experience of oneness beyond the forms and in the heart of the consciousness itself. If you take a wheel with many spokes and a center, at any point, what do you think is the experience of a being at any point of the wheel? And the periphery, it can only observe outside the wheel. But when it comes to the hub, it's at the very center of the whole, every spoke and the rim. It is a deeper experience of the whole wheel from the center of being. So the more and more you come to the center of your consciousness and to the center of being, you experience the more of the other within your space. And in that experience of more of the other, it means you have more power to influence the other. So when you begin to feel all these overwhelming energies from the space around you, open your space to welcome it and to understand it. And find your center of power. Come into your divine center and begin to observe it from there. Come to the hub of the wheel. The rim is like the outer part of the body. And the spokes lead you to the center. So if you go to the heart of all the senses and you come to the center of your being, you have a different experience of the consciousness space that includes the other. So you experience the other person at the heart of your own consciousness. So you need to begin to observe this. So when the energy of the other comes strongly inside of you, you need to center in your own being and open up to that energy. And you can detach from it if you want to, but there's a whole big opportunity there to help to transform the other when you are established in your inner being firmly. So now you can see how the firm posture and center of the master can influence the field big time. Because the master is centered in a field of infinite consciousness and energy, holding the space. So we are like little masters too as we begin to grow. And we have that same power to influence the space around us and influence those around us from the very center of the consciousness. So when we are in that space, we need to ask ourselves, how am I experiencing the other inside of me? What is the experience? And what are the possibilities in this experience? So when we experience the anger of another, and we are not so stable in our own center of being, and we begin to feel that anger rising within us, and we become afraid we cannot control this raging anger that we are feeling for the other. It's the other's anger reflected in us. And because we are sensitive now in the chakra, we are picking up this energy. And if we react from that anger, and the person becomes more angry, and shoots that anger towards us, and we begin to feel it in our awakened consciousness, and we begin to become more angry now because we want to build more anger than the person, and then it builds and builds and builds, and you know what can happen then. But when we feel the anger of the other, oh my God, look at what this person's experiencing. How disturbed they are. How uncomfortable that must be for the other. Let me send an energy. Let me shoot an energy into space that is calming and loving and understanding and compassionate. And then we look at the other in the space and the other becomes confused. Look, what is happening there? This person is calm and quiet. And then the other has no power because all that is coming back is a neutralizing power, not anger. So the other is becoming less and less powerful because all we are doing is neutralizing the anger from another space, from the center of our being. And ultimately, without knowing it, the other person will start to calm down because they're receiving no anger from us. And as they begin to calm down, we begin to realize more unity in that consciousness with the other. So we need to be very aware of what we become as our chakras open up. We become more conscious and more conscious of the energies of others in our space. But the importance here is centering in that place inside. Where we can be protected, where we can be nourished, where we can be strong, and extending energies from that space into this space. And you can see it with animals, for example. You go to an angry dog and you center inside, and you just hold that dog or the animal or the creature in a very powerful space of love or peace. And that's how the whisperers do. They go into the heart of the consciousness, and they meet and they treat with the animal from there, and the animal begins to calm down. They understand the ways of the animal, and they do it from the inner consciousness, from the heart and the mind. So it's an exciting and powerful experience of communication in the inner field as we become more awakened, and we have the greater potential to help in the transformation of others into space. There's a story I once read about a dog finding its way into a palace of mirrors. And all it could see around it was reflections of itself. And of course, poor little dog, it barked because it was overwhelmed by seeing so many dogs around it. And when it barked, all these dogs barked at it. And the more fierce it became, more fierce all the dogs became. Poor dog, it couldn't manage the experience of all these angry dogs that facing it. So it barked and barked and barked and barked until the heart gave up. Poor dog died. If that little dog had the awareness and the consciousness that all these were reflections, how differently the dog would have responded. So how do we treat with the space around us when we see barking dogs? Or barking humans? Or barking beings? And now you can understand why the Christ on the cross only saw ignorance. And he played the perfect role in that. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. The height of compassion coming because he felt for them. He knew what would happen to them. He saw the anger and their pain and their misery. He saw it. And all he could have is compassion because he was in the body. Anchored in that divine consciousness, that divine center, and a non-local awareness. Feeling them inside of his being, all he could feel was compassion. So the chakras, as they open up, allows us more consciousness of the field. They allow us to experience another within our own being energetically. And they allow us to communicate with the space differently and influence the space differently. And with non-local awareness, that's also called omnipresence. Our soul has the power of omnipresence, cosmic presence. When we begin to go within that space, non-local space, we can actually influence another thousands of miles away by just bringing them into our consciousness. Once we have a relationship with them, they are in us. When we create a relationship with someone, we are establishing a relationship with the inner bodies. They are in me. When I think of them, I can feel them. And even if someone is thousands of miles away and I bring them back into my consciousness, I can influence them from where I am. In that consciousness space with non-local awareness, with the experience of omnipresence. And if you focus strongly on someone who you know very well, they'll begin to pick you up. And before you know it, a phone call might be there, an email might be there. If you do it strongly enough, and you have a good connection with their souls. How amazing this is. How differently we can experience the world from our inner being. And this is the hope for unity consciousness in the world. And as we evolve as souls, look at the responsibility we have. Instead of being triggered and reacting, we can respond differently to our world. And we can become agents of change, co-creators of change. That's a joy I have in my experience with others. When people come angry at me, I feel that anger inside of me, but I can hold it in a space. And therein lies the secret of humility and surrender. I'm not surrendering to another, I'm surrendering to myself. When I bow to someone, I'm surrendering to myself. I'm honoring myself. There is no other in the space. When you go deep in meditation, let's say you are in the hall, as we have here, or wherever you are, and you close your eyes and you really follow the consciousness inside, what do you think happens? You zone out of all the forms around you, and you feel that you alone are there in that space. But the space feels like a big me. What do you think you're experiencing? Non-local awareness. Awareness of omnipresence. The space grows because you are touching everybody at the core. The forms disappear. And when you are in a love relation with someone, that's what happens. Two become one. Establishing that space of unity and soul consciousness, the forms disappear and we communicate differently. We don't need the words. We can feel the other's need, desire, thoughts within our own being, and we can respond from there to the other as well. Amazing. Have a blessed day, everyone. My soul bows to you. Namaskar.